When everything falls apart, it rarely does so in a single dramatic moment. The collapse is quiet, insidious, made of small, seemingly insignificant cracks that widen over time. It begins subtly, missed phone calls, distant glances, excuses that feel off. I remember the night I truly felt it start to unravel. Samantha hadn't come home yet. Midnight came and went, and my patience, once steady, began to waver. She had told me she needed space, that she would go out with friends, and I wanted to believe her. I tried to, but when the front door finally opened and she walked in, something inside me shifted. She looked like she'd been caught in chaos. Her hair was wild, her clothes torn slightly at the seams, hanging unevenly on her frame. There was something else too, something that stole the breath from my lungs. A subtle dampness on her thighs, barely visible but unmistakable. I froze. There was a scent clinging to her. Not her perfume. Not mine. A man's cologne. A stranger's. Still, I helped her to bed. I cleaned her up, handled her gently, not because I wasn't angry, but because I didn't know what else to do. My heart was in shock. "What happened, Sam?" I asked her softly, trying to keep my voice level, as if staying calm might make this all a misunderstanding. Her eyes were unfocused, glassy from the alcohol, and she wouldn't look at me. Then she mumbled through the haze, words that hit like a blow to the chest. It didn't mean anything. Just once. "I'm sorry." I felt everything inside me crack. Sorry for what? I wanted to scream, demand the truth, throw something, anything to make the ache in my chest stop. But I didn't. I couldn't. Not when she was in that state. Instead, I swallowed hard, tucked her in like a stranger, and left the room. I needed distance. I needed time to think. But I already knew. Deep down, my gut was screaming what my heart didn't want to hear. Something had happened. Something unforgivable. The next morning, reality set in like a hangover. Samantha groaned from the bedroom, dragging herself into consciousness while I sat alone in the kitchen, staring at the photographs I'd taken the night before. I hadn't planned to take them, it felt wrong, but I needed to hold on to the truth, to have something tangible when my brain tried to deny it all later. A close-up of the stained fabric, a faint handprint on her waist. Evidence. Proof. Something I couldn't pretend away. She walked in slowly, wearing the same crumpled clothes. Her eyes were tired, bloodshot. She looked confused until she saw the photos laid out on the table. Then everything changed. Her expression cracked into panic. Her body sagged under the weight of guilt. She didn't ask what it was about. She already knew. "Do you even remember what you did last night?" I asked. My voice wasn't angry. It was hollow, broken. Her face crumpled. She collapsed into tears, her body shaking with the force of it. "I'm sorry," she cried. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake." But that word, mistake, made something inside me snap. A mistake? I said, cutting her off. "You didn't just stumble into this, Sam. You chose it. You walked into that bar. You got drunk, and you let someone else touch you." She tried to explain, fumbling through excuses, blaming the alcohol, the moment, but none of it mattered anymore. Her tears, once a comfort, now felt manipulative, empty. And that realization, understand that she wasn't even apologizing to me, but tried to soothe her own guilt, was what truly broke me. I stood up, met her eyes one last time. "I need some air," I said, and walked out. Left her standing there, surrounded by the debris of what we once were. I wanted to believe I could let it go, that I could forgive and forget. But betrayal doesn't work like that. It seeps into your bones. The questions were relentless. Who was he? Why him? How long? She'd mentioned a name in her drunken ramble. Adam Starr. That was enough to start with. In today's world, digging into someone's life doesn't take long. Social media told me everything I needed to know. He wasn't just a face at a bar. He wasn't some anonymous mistake. He was someone she knew. Polished, confident, successful. The kind of man who could charm his way through anything. But what hit hardest was the discovery that Adam was married, had kids. A whole life displayed online in filtered smiles and happy moments. A beautiful wife. A picture-perfect family. Just like I thought I had. That changed everything. I needed more. Her phone became my next source of truth. She never noticed me watching. Never realized I had seen the password. One night while she slept, I opened it. That's when I found them. The texts. Nothing explicit. Just enough. Enough to prove intent. Enough to show that he went there that night for her, because they had planned it. This wasn't a spontaneous, regrettable slip. It was calculated. Chosen. I shook reading those messages. My hands trembled, my stomach churned, but I had clarity now. This wasn't about one mistake. This was a betrayal rooted in intention. So I made a decision. Adam's wife, Charlotte, deserved to know the truth. She deserved the chance to see her husband clearly, to see what he was capable of. This wasn't revenge. It wasn't spite. It was justice. And once I gave her that truth, I would return to mine. The divorce papers were already in progress. But before I walked away from this marriage, I needed closure. I needed to look Samantha in the eyes and know she understood what she destroyed. And as for Adam, I wasn't going to let him walk away clean while I was left picking up the pieces. There are choices we make that change everything. Some people call them mistakes. I call them truths we finally stopped pretending not to see. I hadn't originally planned to involve her, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized she deserved to know the truth, just as much as I did. So I decided to reach out. I didn't rush it. I took my time crafting a message that was respectful but honest, explaining that I had something important to discuss. To my surprise, she responded that same day. We agreed to meet at a quiet little cafe downtown, a place neither of us had ties to. I figured a neutral setting might help keep emotions in check. When I arrived, she was already there. Charlotte. She sat alone at a small table, her posture tense, her fingers nervously wrapped around a coffee cup. Her look was simple, dark hair pulled back into a ponytail, dressed plainly, with an expression that said she didn't quite know what to expect. But she was polite. She offered a faint smile as I introduced myself, and when she mentioned Adam, her eyes softened. I could see how much she cared about him. That made what I was about to say even harder. I didn't try to sugarcoat it. I didn't ease her into it. I just said it straight. Your husband had an affair with my wife. Her smile vanished. Instantly, her hand trembled as she set her cup down. For a moment, she just stared at me, silent, like her brain refused to process the words. I reached into my bag and pulled out the evidence. Screenshots of text messages, time-stamped photos of them together. Even a recorded confession from my wife, where she named Adam. I gave her time to go through everything. She looked at each piece like it was a puzzle she never knew existed, one that now painted a picture she wished she could unsee. Her face went pale. Her eyes welled with tears, but none spilled. Not yet. She just sat there, stunned, her lips trembling as she tried to hold it all together. When she finally spoke, her voice cracked with emotion but carried a quiet strength. "Thank you for telling me," she said. I simply nodded and got up to leave. There was nothing else to say. As I walked out of that cafe, I was overwhelmed with emotion, anger, guilt, relief. But I knew one thing. Whatever came next for Adam and Charlotte was no longer my concern. My focus was on reclaiming my life, which started with letting go of Samantha and everything we used to be. Back home, everything felt hollow. The house, once full of life and warmth, now felt unfamiliar. And Samantha, she wasn't the same either. Guilt clung to her like a second skin. I could see it in her eyes, in the way she moved, the way she avoided mirrors. She tried to fix it, tried to pull us back from the edge. At first it was constant tears, daily pleas for forgiveness. "I'll do anything," she whispered. "Therapy, counseling, whatever it takes." But every time I looked at her, all I could see was a betrayal. She started leaving notes, slips of paper tucked into my coat pockets, placed gently on my pillow. Messages like, "I love you. I'll never hurt you again. Please don't give up on us." I read them at first. Then I stopped. She cooked dinner every night, made my favorite meals, as if comfort food could patch a broken soul. But I couldn't sit across the table from her and pretend that everything wasn't shattered. A part of me wanted to believe her, to forgive her, to salvage the life we had built. But every time I pictured her with him, the pain was too loud to ignore. One evening, she approached me in the living room, her face blotchy from crying, her voice hoarse. "Please, Brad," she said, barely a whisper. "I love you. I'll do anything to fix this." For the first time in days, I really looked at her. "I don't think so," I replied, my voice low but certain. It hit her like a physical blow. Her knees gave out, and she collapsed on the floor, sobbing, clutching her chest like the weight of her own choices had finally crushed her. The days that followed were quiet. Not peaceful, just eerily still. No yelling, no accusations. Just silence. The kind that says more than words ever could. I hoped the silence might bring clarity, a new path. But deep down, I already knew the truth. Some things can't be repaired. I threw myself into practical things, sorting through finances, paperwork, details I never thought I'd have to face. I replayed our memories, both good and bad, wondering if any of it was strong enough to hold on to. But the answer always came back the same. One morning, I found her sitting in the living room, her eyes lost in the carpet. When she looked up at me, she saw the papers in my hand. Divorce papers. I hesitated for just a second, not because I questioned my choice, but because I knew this was a final nail in the coffin, the true end. "You made your choice that night," I told her. "This is mine." I placed the papers in front of her. Her body stiffened, her hands shaking as she reached for them. "Brad, no. Please," she begged, her voice cracking. "We can fix this. I'll do anything." She dropped to her knees, grabbed my hand, and sobbed with a desperation that nearly broke me. But it was too late. That night she broke us. And no matter what came after, we were already gone. I gently pulled my hand away. "I can't," I said, my voice firm but not angry. "I've tried. I've thought about it from every angle. But I can't see you the same anymore. I can't see us the same." I turned and walked away. Her cries followed me down the hallway, echoing off the walls, but I didn't look back. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe. It wasn't joy, not exactly, but it was relief. It wasn't the ending I had imagined, but it was the one I needed. The weeks that followed were strange. I couldn't bring myself to sleep in our bedroom. The scent of her was still there, in the pillows, in the air, woven into memories I no longer wanted. So I slept on the couch. But little by little, I started to reclaim the space. I got rid of furniture, rearranged things, repainted the walls. Each small change was a step toward something new, a way of saying, "This is mine now." It wasn't just the house I was rebuilding. It was myself. The cracks were still there, and the scars would never fully fade, but they hurt less with time. And in their place, something else took root, something that felt a lot like peace. As for Samantha, I don't know where life took her. After the papers were signed, we cut contact. I heard through others that things weren't easy for her, that moving on was a struggle. People always say time heals all wounds. I don't believe that. Time doesn't heal. It teaches. It teaches you how to live with pain, how to carry it without letting it define you. That's what I've learned. I've learned to live with solitude, to find comfort in quiet. I'd rather live alone in peace than be chained to a life built on lies. And wherever Samantha is, I hope she finds her own peace, not for me, but for herself. We both lost something. I lost the woman I thought I knew. She lost the life we built together. But the difference is, I found something too. I found myself. And in the end, that made every painful step worth it. So, if you connected with this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap that bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.